The first game of the weekend, Chiefs, Jaguars, as we all settle in, the kind of late afternoon game. Let's get into it. Let's watch the Chiefs go to work and pummel these Jaguars, right? Whoa, Mahomes gets rolled up on. It's a real one. You're wondering, it's one of those weird, like, full leg things. You're wondering, like, is that hip? Is that knee? Is that ankle? Turned out it was ankle. And, I mean, talk about live moments and reactions and what you're feeling. If everyone remembers, Mahomes, he gets rolled up on. It's ugly. Goes out, gets checked on. Basically, stays in. Like, they take the time. He comes back in, and he's hopping around. He does a handoff. It's like a full stretch one. He's got to hop and jump to get there. Everyone's like, whoa, buddy. I don't know about this. Stays out for a couple more plays. Comes back in. They go to Chad Henne. Little Hennessy Saturday night. Mahomes sprints into the locker room. Okay, sprint. Gets an x-ray. Fair. It's Patrick Mahomes. Comes back out. He's on the sideline, which I'm no medical doctor yet. Working on it. But Patrick Mahomes just standing on whatever they think is an injured ankle in the cold of Kansas City felt like it just wasn't the play. Like, I don't know, either stay in the locker room or I kind of understood why it was. The best thing I had was, like, if Chad Henne were to get hurt, like, Mahomes would still be there next. So he's kind of got to be out there. But I don't know. If you think Patrick Mahomes' ankle's messed up,
you should be actively looking at this.
That wouldn't have been my problem solving, having him stand in the cold. Anyways, Mahomes is standing there, and you're all kind of doing what is this? Why is this? Meanwhile, Chad Henne drives the boys 90-plus yards for a touchdown. Ends up being pretty important. We go to halftime. The Jags, credit to them, they had a really nice drive to score their first touchdown. You were like, okay, are the boys confident? Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, do they believe in what they're doing? They did a little bit, but they were still outmatched. Mahomes comes out at halftime, and he's full tilt and playing, which, again, makes the previous stuff just a little bizarre. But the Chiefs end up rolling. They're up 20-10. Jags, they score 20-17. Chiefs answered right back to make it 10 points again. Jacksonville was driving. I mentally had forgotten about this. Trevor Lawrence bowls a dude over. Like, big third or fourth down. Let me double check. Big third down. 3rd and 10. Kansas City 21-yard line. Field goal. Does that really do anything for you against the Chiefs? For a lot of teams, it does not. Trevor Lawrence, 12-yard run, bowls a guy over. And you have one of those moments where you forget how big quarterbacks are. Like, Trevor Lawrence, he's the size of a tight end. And he can probably run a 4.7, 4.8 in full pads. He bowls a dude over, and you're like, damn, all right, Trevor Lawrence. Let's see something. They throw a short pass to Agnew, who's returning kicks and looked nasty. He goes to tuck the ball, fumbles it. Chiefs get it. And then you just kind of have that moment like I don't think it's going to happen. Kansas City gets a field goal to do one of those 2-for-1 NFL, give yourself a chance, kick the field goal. That way, if you get the onside kick, that's kind of your only hope at that point. They don't get the onside kick. Travis Kelce, if I was doing Bros of the Night, flashback, he would get one. 14 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. And by the way, there was a missed, wide open 20-yard pass that everyone was shocked because Kelce and Mahomes feel like they never miss or just don't link up. I just want it to... It's sunk in with me, and I don't... Maybe that's a little too dramatic, but the Jacksonville Jaguars all week said, let's not have Travis Kelce beat us. And he got 14 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. That just blows my mind, man. As someone who even, fancied myself a good Madden player back in the day. Like, don't you start there? Like, let's put 2 on him. And if Juju Smith-Schuster or Noah Gray beats you, you live with that. I'd struggle having Kelsey live with me. The counter to that, and we talked about it with Justin Penick, is they're really good. So it almost becomes one of those, how much do you bother? Because you don't really shut those 2 down. Chiefs, I guess we'll circle up on them in a moment because you probably know who they're facing, but they'll be hosting a home game, which was discussed a lot, and we're going to hear, my God, I actually had a moment of relief from when I used to be, I don't know, just a sports-addicted middle schooler, and like all I did was ESPN. Like, the talk around Mahomes' ankle this week is going to be insane. So many updates. I'm glad I'm not as tuned in as I used to be because it's going to be an update festival. So that was your first game. We ease in. You have a little bit of a Mahomes scare. Here we go. Me and BBD, we're meeting up at Billy's, talking Giants watch party. We sold like 300 tickets. We got a bunch of the company there. The vibes are good. You got some space, but you got some energy. Football energy is different. I very much appreciate that after the last 2 talking Giants parties. Every 5-yard gain is woo! Ric Flair. And yeah, I remember I think I was talking to Jeff right before kickoff, and I said, let's have a game. A touchdown at the half, down 10. Hope. Because every Giants fan that walked into that bar knew that there was a good chance the Giants were going to lose the game. Everyone hoped that it was going to be a good game. And they were super hoping that they were going to win. It got ugly quick. 14-0 in the first, 14-0 in the second. And that 21-0 was early on into the third. Eagles, they stopped them on one of the first 4 drives for the punt. Wait, let me do that again. One of the first 5, the other 4 touchdowns. 28-0 at halftime. Man, it's funny, the little moments that I feel in sports do matter and would have changed a lot of the scope of this game. The Eagles' first touchdown on 3rd down, Dallas Goedert, one hand, really nice catch. He probably makes that catch 4 out of 10 times. I don't know.
Like that exact
He's
catch.
good. He's a big guy. If you run
he got like a full mid on it.
It's a nice play, and it's not a play you're shocked he made. It's a nice play. If that doesn't go there and Philadelphia kicks a field goal, I don't know. I do think game path would have made this a little more of a game. Things just, after that, it was over. Good team versus mediocre team. Giants fans end up shaking hands and not being too broken up about it because you knew there was a chance for this. I don't know. Anything else, Beebs? Boston Scott?
No, you wish it didn't happen like this. Boston Scott always. It would have been nice for it to be a game for the season they had. They earned this opportunity, but the Eagles are a different class, so it was, I don't want to say easy to stomach because again they got blown out, but the loss itself isn't what was hard to take. Like, yeah, you expected that.
Yeah, just how it happened. And it'll start kind of a fun offseason for the Giants. I know talking Giants, they enjoyed their postseason run, but Daniel Jones and Saquon currently up in the air.
Yeah, and they have some other down the depth chart guys that are interesting conversations when you're in the Giant world. Julian Love, what do you do?
It's I don't know.
Draft well.
It's just funny. You do this whole season, and then you're sitting here, and there's will Saquon be back? I don't know. I mean, look at how Zeke has gone in Dallas. Daniel Jones, you have to figure he's back some way, but if there's no Zeke, who's back there with them. Will they get a wide receiver? They've been without a wide receiver one for so long now.
Is that what the draft will be? Or are they making another move?
So going to be a fun offseason for Giants. Make sure you check out Talking Giants. And the Eagles roll, and they look like the dominant team they were to start the year. And people were asking questions. Hurts had a couple mad games. They were leaking into the playoffs a little bit. They turned up the screws, and they looked really, really good. So on Sunday, and the Sunday games are brought to you by DraftKings. Reminder, code BAKERS. That'll get you $5. Well, when you make your first bet on either of the games this weekend, you get $5 and you receive 2 bonus bets, $200 in bonus bets at DraftKings. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BAKERS. New customers can bet $5 on any NFL playoff game. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code BAKERS only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for dem tails. The Sunday games, which people were more excited for, let's be honest. The Jaguars and the Giants, they had some overlap in how I think people probably viewed them.
You're hoping to get a game from them. You expected a game on Sunday.
Jags more or less did their part. I mean, it was around it.
Fourth quarter mattered.
Bengals Bills. Our Justin Panic hyped this as the game he was the most excited about. He kind of thought the Super Bowl winner may be coming from this game. We'll find out if he's right, but it may have not been the team you thought it would be. And I don't think it was the script you thought it would be. Again, I like going through the scope of where it started and how we got there. Coming into this game, the Bills' question marks were their D-line. Since Von Miller had gone down, their D-line hadn't been anything. The defense had kind of been mediocre. They also, we know Damar Hamlin, obviously got hurt and crazy story and all that. He's going to be in the house. He was in the house. They also lost a couple members of their secondary, and flash forward, they lose a couple more members of their secondary in this game. The Bengals on the road in Buffalo, historically a incredibly tough place to play a playoff game. The Bills' record in Buffalo in playoff games is like insane. The Bengals, they come into this game. They're missing 3 starting O-linemen. How often have you heard something like that be the story the next Monday? That you're like, yeah, no left tackle. Oh, both tackles were hurt, so they just never had a chance. It didn't affect the Bengals at all. Joe Burrow put on a clinic. The Bills' defense looked as uninspired. And I hate using that because, I mean, Damar was in the stands and they, the place is going nuts. So uninspired with everything else going on feels wrong, but it's what it felt like. And more so, I guess, than uninspired. They just couldn't get off the field. They had their 3 or 4 third down moments, third downs and long. Whereas, like, if you get off the field now, you can make something happen here. You can make the Bengals clench up a little bit, and they couldn't do it. The only real third down stop they had, or it felt like they had, was that Jamar Chase, is it a catch, is it not a catch, at the end of the end zone. 2 of the NFL's best players, Matt Milano at middle linebacker is a stud. Jamar Chase, obviously a stud. That call could go any different way in any different game. I think according to the rules, it wasn't a catch. That was the Bills' best play / stop. Kept 4 points off the board. There were so many other moments where they just needed someone to step up and make the play. And on the D-line, where, again, you got three offensive linemen filling in, and they could never kind of have that third down sack or a strip sack or anything, or just someone in Joe Burrow's face to make him make the wrong throw. On the other side of the ball, the Bills' offense didn't have a lot of answers. Josh Allen didn't really run the ball. That's when the Bills are at their most dynamic. I would have to tune into a Talking Bills to see what that's about. He also, towards the later part of this game, it was kind of already decided. He gets whacked a couple times that were pretty ugly, and he was definitely playing banged up by the end. But a couple third down calls on offense that are just inexcusable. I think their first drive, they had a 3rd and 3, and they went for kind of a deeper throw down the field. The guy was kind of open, but they missed him. It was snowing. Like, Josh Allen was running to his left and trying to hit a guy in stride. It was a tough throw, didn't complete it. And then there was another third down later in the game where I think it was 3rd and 2. And instead of doing the play to get a first down, in a game, in a situation where you can't give the ball back, you need to rest your defense. They're doing nothing against the Bengals. You got to get that first down. They chucked the ball 40 yards down the field to Gabe Davis. Awesome throw. Hits Gabe Davis in stride, but he's had some of the most drops in the NFL the past year. Sneeze. I'm okay. You can't do that in that situation. Gabe Davis drops it, and there was decent coverage there. It was an awesome throw. But those two plays, you're now giving the ball back to Cincinnati, and they dominated you offensively all day. I don't know. I think I want to let's give credit to the Bengals, because let's go back to the start. The 3 offensive linemen, that could have been an easy excuse. We don't talk about the Bengals defense a lot. I don't know if anyone ever really talks about the Bengals defense, but they're pretty good. They're going back to their second
good group.
They're going back to their second AFC championship game, potentially Super Bowl. You obviously know Chase. Mixon gets 100 on the ground. Whenever P. Ryan fills in, he looks fine. Joe Burrow is special. And this is the thing I've kind of teed up on Wake and Jake for the past couple weeks now, right? Like I said, what if Joe Burrow beat Josh Allen in Buffalo in that regular season game? Well, guess what? He did it in the playoffs. And he's the one that went to the Super Bowl last year. And he's the one that leads the Cincinnati Bengals, like a historically sad franchise, with some of the most swagger and just so composed. Joe Burrow, man. He's awesome. Josh Allen, I don't think people are going to turn on him, but I think there's going to be a little less. Is he like coming in this season, people were trying to say Josh Allen was better than Mahomes. I don't think there's too much of an argument there. Here's what I will say. Sean McDermott, the Buffalo head coach, he's got a couple moments that do not impress me. I mentioned it with Panic, that New England Patriots wind game that the Patriots refused to throw the ball, and then so did the Bills, but they had Josh Allen, and Patriots had Mac Jones. They lost that game. And then before Josh Allen became the guy that was going to compete with Patrick Mahomes, think about who Mahomes was and still is. He's kind of 1-1. Like, the way he plays when it's at its best is unstoppable. People have him. His at his best is as best as an NFL quarterback has ever played. And Josh Allen is now competing with that. So it's a little bit of my Chargers theory that I don't know how good a coach Sean McDermott is. I don't think he's a bad coach. I'm not saying that. But I don't know if you can put him in the ranks with the high-level coaches. They've got a pretty good roster there. Josh Allen's pretty good. They've had a couple really nice seasons, but now they come up short again. Last year was Kansas City who clipped them in an incredible game. That was whoever got the ball last. And I think that was even the overtime game. So that's tough. But the Chiefs got beat by the Bengals. So you could do that. They lose here. Interested to see what's next for them. Bengals 27-10. I think a lot of people thought the Bengals could win. I don't think anyone thought they could blow them out in Buffalo. And they just had control the whole time. Which led us in to that final game. Cowboys, Niners. I mean, kind of as iconic as the NFL can get. Maybe the Green Bay Packers logo in there. But it's Niners, Cowboys. Brock Purdy. How is he going to hold up against a Dallas defense that's awesome? Awesome. I know Micah Parsons gets shouted out the most, but their defense as a whole is great, and they showed it. They showed it. I mean, this game was mean, ugly, old school football with a little kick of Brett Maher action, America's favorite celebrity. Punt, interception, field goal. Cowboys, 14 plays and a touchdown with a couple nice third downs. Extra point, blocked. Hilarious. Was going to miss. It's almost better it got blocked, so Maher didn't have to watch that. So we got a 6-6 game. The Cowboys are driving. Bad Dak interception. Gives the ball back to the Niners. They play it as conservative as possible, but they have the huge play to Ayuk. Ends up getting them in field goal range. Good as gold. Robbie Gould, incredible. He is perfect in the postseason. Field goals and extra points. Perfect. That's not a bad way to be remembered. Sorry, Brett Maher. It's 9-6 at halftime. The other big thing that happened, Tony Pollard gets his leg rolled up on. I think they're calling it a broken leg. Hate that. And he clearly, as we're finding out who the Cowboys are, Zeke Elliott is not the same Zeke Elliott. We know that. I still like him as a short yardage back, which I know that makes true NFL people kind of cringe when you hear that. But when you need a 3rd and 1, Zeke knows how to wiggle still a little bit and get that. And there's actually a play in this game that he got chopped in the backfield and had to full stretch out. I think everyone gasped because you're like, you're going to fumble that. Held on to it, got the first down. It was really nice.
There's still a role for him.
Zeke is what he's only that at this point, and a center. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. Tony Pollard is explosive. On every play, it feels like he can break it. Also, what do we know about the Cowboys? CeeDee Lamb's a dude. He was their whole game plan the second half. Somehow he was still getting the ball, and he looked good doing it. He is a dude. And it circles back to Dak, who Dak Prescott is good. The conversation around Dak Prescott for his whole career will be how good is Dak Prescott. Because on this day, he doesn't have that Burrow, Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes, like rank your top 6-7 quarterbacks. Russ when he was prime Russ. It doesn't feel like Dak has the takeover in him. That being said, he was going up against a stacked Niners team. So I don't want to kill Dak, although there could have been a pick six at the end. That would have been his 3rd interception on the day. And the box score would have looked different and everything would have helped different. Greenlaw just had it and dropped it. He was gone. That being said, the Niners are stacked. Purdy is clearly their weakness, and they try to do everything they not to put him in the situation. When they do put him in the situation, he's looked fine. He made a couple big boy throws, like real NFL quarterback throws. There's a couple moments of panic where you're like, wow, he is a rookie. He almost burnt the first half. He had to just throw the ball out of bounds. Threw it out with 1 second on the clock. Yeah. Like that could have been a failure. He had a couple throws that could have ended up differently. There was one that was tipped, ended up in a Diggs in the secondary. His hands, he couldn't secure it. Like, this game could have looked and felt different for Brock Purdy. There were 2 really good NFL defenses on the field. When the Niners scored the McCaffrey rushing touchdown, who, by the way, he was banged up. He could only play. They'd only bring him out for 3rd downs, which that's kind of a boss move. Like, all right, bring in the king. You're ready. It didn't feel like the Cowboys were going to have it, and they didn't. George Kittle made that incredible catch that was on every highlight reel. Tip drill doesn't get any better than that, and avoiding what would have been like a massive, massive collision by securing the catch, bringing his body in. Ray McCloud almost blew it with a bad punt fumble. The Niners were the better team. It was in San Francisco. Better team, better coach. That McCarthy last play is going to be famous forever for all the wrong reasons. You just needed one lateral, and I would have bought in. Like, if you had gotten the ball somehow behind all your big boys, like I could have believed in it. To do that, just throw a slant and the dude gets rocked while Zeke gets rocked. That's not why McCarthy was out-coached and out-talent-wise in this game in San Francisco, like all of it. But if you're going to run that play out there, I need something more than that.
Bit of a microcosm.
It is and it isn't. It's just, It gave everyone a good meme. It gave everyone a new favorite play for a while. The Niners are really good. And the Cowboys put up a great game and a great fight, but they were outmatched, and without Tony Pollard, they weren't going to be able to go. So it's going to be interesting. I was talking to Bobby Skinner a little bit this morning. The Cowboys' dynamic should change upcoming. Like, I think Dak's new contract kicks in, which changes a lot of their cap stuff. Zeke's still on the books. I think Tony Pollard's a free agent. I don't know. Interested to see the next step with these Cowboys. Because I think they're going to lose some dudes this year, and they're 12-5 in the regular season, but I don't think they're the same ilk as the Niners, although they have, the better QB on paper. And the Eagles in division had them beat. So, tough ending for Cowboys fans between the final play and the final score. Both those defenses were awesome. It felt kind of like an old NFL football game where getting a first down felt hard. Sometimes you see an NFL game and you're like, this feels like old Big 12 football. Like, this feels like Oklahoma State, K-State, 54-48. And usually it's a good product either way, but I think NFL fans like these kind of games still.
Want one of these mixed in. Got it.
And it tees up a fun conference championship weekend. I think Eagles-Niners is fun. Niners, their question marks coming into the season were kind of the quarterback position, and do they have an answer? I don't. Kind of. Brock Purdy just keeps winning, which is just insanity. And by the way, one of the more boring press conferences you've ever seen. I don't know if he's scared or nervous, or I was making myself laugh, the fact if he was thinking, like, maybe this really is a dream at this point, and, like, I'm not going to enjoy it because I'm going to wake up. Eagles in Philadelphia, 2.5-point favorites. Haven't thought about it too much. I'm sure we will Wednesday. Bengals, Chiefs, run it back in Arrowhead. Again, the Mahomes updates will be what matters. A lot of football people, you heard their booth talking about it, were like, the way the Bengals just looked against the Bills, they might be favorites against anyone. And the fact that the Chiefs are only 1-point favorites at Arrowhead, that should tell you a lot, man. That should tell you a lot. So, fun weekend of football. Not the one doozy game we were looking for, but I think we got a chance for two next weekend. So, later this week, maybe we'll get Big Bobby. I know he's heading out of town. I know we normally do Chris Rowe's Super Bowl. America's favorite episode. And we'll see if the baseball world provides us anything. Thank you, Amp, Bakers, everyone. Leave a comment, leave some love, and we will see you on Wednesday. And we'll be live on Amp the rest of the way, I think. So, lots of love.